Double dip! I've been thinking about doing a dip spread recipe video for a while now, and I decided, you know what? Let me put two together. So, in this case, I'm going to be doing a hummus and a baba ghanoush. So, you know, a chickpea spread and a roasted eggplant spread slash dip. These are awesome ideas for parties, finger food, served with pita chips, tortilla chips, carrots, celery, really whatever, you know, put them on a, I mean, you want to talk about a crazy idea? Hear me out. College Gabe, forehead, you know, about this small hairline down to his eyebrows. That was a time when I had me a turkey sandwich, a nice spread of hummus, some pico de gallo, and a little bit of tomato, and that was it. Done. On some good wheat bread. It was my meal for years at that point in my life. It's always good to try these new things in ways you wouldn't normally consider. And that's kind of why I love dips and spreads like this. They're very versatile, right? You can really put them on anything you can think of. If you don't like it, don't do it again. But if you do, hey, you've discovered something brand new. So, if you are ready to put your hand up on this dip, and when I dip, you dip, we dip, this is the recipe for you. Let's give it a shot. Okay, first thing we want to do is get our eggplant ready to go, which means we need to slice it into maybe half-inch slices, slivers down the middle, so to speak. And we're going to actually apply a little layer of salt on top, not too much, just to draw out some of that moisture. That'll keep us from making more of a mush than a spread. You feel me? You dig? So I've got my nice sharp knife. I am going to cut off some of this greenery without cutting off the actual tip of the eggplant. Come on, you sucker. Same with its little brother here. And again, about half-inch slices down the middle, or down the length, I would say. You're going to want a really sharp knife for this because you got to really get in there. You can also cut it down the middle safely and then cut from there, one on each side. I'm just going to go right down the eggplant. So, yes. Boom. Beautiful. Give you all a close-up of what we're talking about. Okay, you see here, it's actually closer to maybe a little over half an inch, but that's going to work for me. I'm into it. So I'm going to set that on my baking sheet here. I've got this double-lined foil and parchment paper. The parchment paper will help the eggplant from sticking, but the foil will help you from making a huge mess on your baking sheet. I've got another one I'll have to prep later. But for right now, let's just do this one right here. I want those thick sides up, making room for it. And then let's go ahead and get this one done as well. Very careful with your knife, always careful with your knife. There's no hurry. The eggplant isn't going anywhere. You can always buy another one, but your fingers, you only get the one set. So, mindful. This one here is done as well, so lay these out. And I'm going to apply, again, not too much. Ultimately, before we put this in the oven, we will pat dry every piece. That will pick up some of the salt, but if you put too much, you won't be able to get rid of enough. And then you have to worry about putting too much in your actual finished product. So I'd recommend just if you have coarse, like kosher salt, even better. I've only got table salt here. So I'm going to be very light with this. You don't even necessarily need to pat it in or anything. Just give it 15-20 minutes. It will draw the moisture on its own. And then we'll pat dry with a paper towel. So that looks good to me. Gonna let this sit here for now. Get that moisture out. And honestly, in the meantime, we can start on the hummus. It's been about 10 minutes. I'm going to just pat these dry. Oh yeah, you can feel that moisture coming out. Last thing I'm going to do, give them a little drizzle of olive oil. Dunzo. So, going to roast these in the oven until they're nice and tender. And then we'll be ready to baba ghanoush. Bellissimo. Okay, so while we wait for our baba ghanoush in the oven, we're going to go ahead and get our hummus going because it's actually very simple. So I have 1 can of garbanzo beans here. I'm going to just throw that into my food processor. You can do this in a blender. I mean, in theory, you could even do it by hand if your garbanzo beans are really soft, but you're going to want a blender or a food processor. So get those in there. Now, something to note. I drained most of the liquid in this can. I've got about half a cup in reserve. You can use what's called aquafava. You can use the aquafava for a lot of things, actually, particularly if you're vegan or veggie. It's a wonderful egg white replacement. However, putting too much aquafava into our hummus is about all you're going to taste. So I reserved a little bit to give us a little moisture later because at Café Gabe, we're not going to use any olive oil. Well, specifically olive oil. We're going to use our tahini, our sesame seed paste, which has olive oil in it already, as our liquidy part in that context. So I'm going to take my tablespoon here and top in about 1 good heaping tablespoon. Yes. Boom. Now don't get me wrong, if I feel like it's too thick, I'll add some olive oil. There's nothing wrong with that. So I've got my chickpeas, my tahini. What I have here is a roasted head of garlic. I'm going to push out about 3 or 4 roasted garlic pieces. Now when you roast garlic, it gets a little sweet. It gets far less strong as a garlicky taste. So if you prefer that garlicky taste, go ahead and don't need to roast it. If you're going to roast it, 30 minutes, cut off the tips, little olive oil, wrap it in foil, in the oven at 425 for 30 minutes. You've got a wonderful roasted garlic, nice and soft, nice and sweetish, right? I like my hummus that way. Honestly, I could have probably put the whole thing in. It still wouldn't have been that overpowering. I'm going to go less than more. So, boom, done. Throw in a little bit of salt, probably about half a teaspoon to start. We don't want to go too crazy just yet. You can always add more. You really can't take away, huh? Ain't that life? Okay. Pop my lid here. Get my food processor going. So, as it's turning, I will go ahead and pour in my aquafava. I don't want to pour it in just yet. I really want to get a gauge of the consistency that I'm creating here. I'm going to spare you the noise, but bear with me. Okay, from what I can see here, and I'll bring it over to show you all, this looks actually very thick, very creamy, but for a hummus, I might want it a little bit, I don't want to say liquidy, but a little more spreadable. So what I will do is go ahead and throw in that olive oil. Just a little tease. We don't want to go too crazy with this. And here we go once more. Okay, I've added that olive oil. Let me give this a little taste. Finger in. That's going to need a little more garlic, actually. So just pop in the rest of these bad boys. 1, 2, 3, 4. So for those of you playing at home, I basically threw in a whole head or clove or bunch of roasted garlic. And a pinch more salt. And maybe another half teaspoon. We really want to take it easy on the salt. So let's put this top back on and give that another mix. How are we doing? Much better. Oh yes. So it is very garlic heavy, but in just not in an overpowering way. The roasted garlic, you get all the savoriness of garlic without that bite that raw garlic can give you. You know, if you saw my video on pasta salad, you know how I feel about garlic. Controversial opinion, okay? Here we go. There is such thing as too much garlic. I'm a fan, though. I am a fan. Guys, this is good. I'm going to put this into a container. Our baba ghanoush is about 5 minutes left before I can pull those eggplants out of the oven. So I will container this, eggplants out, and we will keep going. Okay, hummus is in the fridge. Gonna let that chill. But for now, let's move on to our baba ghanoush. So, the eggplant is done. I put it in the oven. It's nice and tender, nice and soft. Hot. Hot. This is the hard part. You could wait for it to cool better and peel the skin that way. I am just incredibly impatient. So forgive me while I burn the crap out of my fingertips and get this going. But you can see this skin should just kind of come more or less right off. Oh yeah. We don't want any of this skin. It's not the end of the world, but it's best without it. Now you're going to see a lot of overlap between what we put in this baba ghanoush and what we put in the hummus, but the differences are key. Namely, in this case, I'm going to use raw garlic instead of roasted. I'm going to add a bit of black pepper and a little bit of red pepper. Give it a little bit of a kick, right? Let's get some variety in our life here. Put this into my food processor, tear off this top part. Ouch! Dunzo. Ow. Okay, so scaldingly rinse and repeat. Carefully rinse and repeat. I would say what's nice is if you kept a little tip on, it's actually easy to grab. It's not super duper hot compared to the rest. And then all you have to do is with your knife, just trim it off when you're done. If I had a nickel for every ghanoush I had to baba, you wealthy man. Now these end pieces can be a little trickier to get the skin off of, but just go slow. Mind your fingers. You know what? How about another controversial opinion? Asbestos hands? Nonsense. Nonsense. It's all in your mind. You think you're not burning the ever-loving gosh out of your fingers, but your fingers know. They know the truth. Oh my God, talk about delusions of grandeur. I should be the king of that, but darn it, this is hot. Now that I'm almost done, point of order. Is there an easier way to do this? I'm almost certainly sure there is. This is just how I've done it all this time. For whatever damn reason, I have not taken the time to learn. So, if you are like, you know what, I really want to make baba ghanoush, but Chef Gabe just burned the ever-loving God out of his fingertips and screamed the whole time. I don't want to do that. There must be a way. Look it up, I'm sure there is. Okay, I've got all my eggplant in here. I've got my skins over there. Garbage, don't need them. Dead to me. So, working with our eggplant here. It's nice and roasted, nice and soft, okay? Again, we're going to do a lot of the same things we did with the hummus. I've still got my tahini here. I'm going to put about a tablespoon in there. All right. Now, bear in mind, some tahinis are liquidier than others. This one's, I know about this before, this is actually really, really thick. It's just tahini, it's just sesame paste. So you might want to start with a little less, blend, taste. I like tahini, so I'm not worried about it, but for your own sake. I'm going to do, actually, let's do our salt, black pepper, just to taste. You'll thank me later. Red chili powder. So, a little bit of a kick, nothing crazy. I'll just do a few little dashes here. I have 3 raw garlic cloves here. I want to start with 3, then decide if I want to add more. There's a lot of eggplant here. I'm not so much worried about overdoing it with just 3, but if you're a little bit garlic averse, just start with 2. Put 3 bad boys in there. Last but not least, actually I'm going to go ahead and throw in a bit of olive oil. Boom. That was probably about half a tablespoon. So, same deal guys, I'm going to spare you the noise, but it's about to get loud and messy in here. So, vámonos. Oh, my ears. Oh, but my goodness. Little dip. That eggplant is so good. I'm going to add a little bit more salt. Salt to taste. Just salt to taste. However salty you want it. Less is always more. You can always add more. You can't take it away. Boom. One more quick little blend. I think we're good to go. Oh my gosh. That red pepper. You just get a kick on the very back end. That is so good. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and put this into a container. Pop it also in the fridge. I like my dips cold. I don't really like them hot so much. You can eat these hot. I mean, the chickpea, the hummus is room temperature, but you can eat this baba ghanoush hot if you'd like. I want it to cool off. I want it to kind of solidify a bit more, really more of a dip. This is very blended. This is very finely mixed, right? Homogeneous. I have seen Baba Ghanoush also very good, where it's really more of a very coarse mix. I mean, it's chunky, it's stringy. The eggplant is not nearly as roasted as I have done here. I prefer it this way, but that way is also very good. Variety, guys. These ingredients are all super easy to kind of mix and match to taste, mix and match to match into texture, time, you know, just awesome, awesome flavor. But I've rambled enough. Putting this in the fridge for right now, and I will be back. Alright guys, it's been a couple hours now. I think my dips are nice and cool. I've went ahead and made a plate here. Forgive the audio change, my little lapel mic broke, so I'm reverting to my shotgun mic. It's going to be a little more echoey, I'm afraid, but I'll do what I can in editing. I've got our wonderful dips right here side by side, a little garnish, just for fanciness' sake, but I am ready to give them a bite. I also don't have any pita, so I'm using some bread that I have here, but let's start with the Baba Ghanoush. Give this a try. Oops. Very good. Very light. Definitely taste the roastedness of the eggplant. It could use a little more salt. That's an easy fix, but overall very creamy. Great as a spread. Let's see how we're doing with the hummus. Don't really want any parsley with that. Man. I think the hummus is the winner, but just barely, because Baba Ghanoush is pretty darn good. I have made the mistake in the past of overpowering these kinds of things with tahini, but there's just enough tahini in both of these, but they're very distinct, don't get me wrong. You would not try one and try the other and think they were the same. They're very different flavors, very different textures. Oh man, this is good stuff though. Guys, that's it. Hummus and Baba Ghanoush a la Café Gabe. Hey, best, highlights of this dish, right? They can both be prepped in advance. They last a few days easily. They're versatile. Again, pita chips, tortilla chips, vegetables on a sandwich, in an omelet. I've made this hummus with adding roasted red bell peppers to get, again, just a different kind of flavor, right? Add a little feta cheese, add some infused olive oils to get a little extra different flavor. Tons of options here. But again, also very easy. I would say there's no real way to mess this up overall. And again, heck, you know what? Get adventurous. Try things. I encourage that greatly. Everyone, thank you so much for coming to Café Gabe. Hey, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I've definitely got new videos coming. If you try the recipes and like them, like the video. And if you have any comments from me, questions, concerns, ideas, tell me, did you try something different? I mean, I said roasted red bell pepper, but you could try really roasted anything, maybe an artichoke. I've seen, lentil hummus. I have seen hummus with like black beans. I have seen them with like cauliflower. It's very interesting the way things work. But hey, but let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it. Everyone, as always, thank you so much for coming to Café Gabe. Be well, stay safe. Adios. I have dinner plans, but I'm going to just finish this really quick, so don't mind me.